All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rhodora Meliton-Vanderpool. I am the co-author of this book. I'm also a mother, a teacher, and a mentor. And I actually grew up with, well, didn't grow up, but I think we can proudly say, Martin, that we went to the same high school. And so we represent Mississauga, Meadowvale in particular, and Meadowvale Secondary School at that.
Ward 9 flows. That's my handle these days. Represent.
That's awesome, Martin. So yeah, I'm very proud to be here and very excited to share with everyone the journey that it took for us to write this book together. So go ahead, Wes.
My name is Wes Williams, otherwise known as the Maestro Fresh Wes. I'm a hip hop artist, thespian. You know, I do a couple different things. The foundation is hip hop. I've been blessed to be an author as well. This is my first book called Stick to Your Vision. How to get past the hurdles and haters to get to where you want to be. And this was co-written by my son's mother, Tamara Hendricks Williams, and we did a great job. Chuck D from Public Enemy wrote the foreword for that. And so when we came up with the idea to write the kids version of that, which is Stick to Your Vision, Young Maestro Goes to School, I got Cardinal to write the foreword for that, and it was an honor to work with Rhodora, who's an education expert, and my man Leon Eklipz Robinson, he's just an illustrator aficionado, man. It was a blessing.
Absolutely.
September 8th was when
graphics, man.
Yes, sir, man. September 8th was when I came up with the idea of writing the book. I did a presentation January at St. Angela's Catholic School. That's where Rhodora's been teaching for over 20 years. And once we saw the reception that the kids were giving me, it was like, Wes, you know, maybe you should try to, you know, do a kids version of this.
Yes.
And then the COVID cloud hit us, and then it was like, you know, a lot of us were like spiritually imploding, right? But we found a way during this global apocalypse to just rise to the surface and just strive and do something unconventional in these unconventional times and still be inspiring to the kids. Like once you put kids first, it's a whole different ball game, and that's what we did with this project, man. We just put kids first. Like we'll survive, but they're going to have a whole different life that we had coming up. You know what I'm saying? So how could we instill certain values? How can we instill certain ways of life, certain principles, and certain ethics? And that's what Stick to Your Vision, Young Maestro Goes to School is all about, showing where we came from. And hopefully those principles could be utilized forth and forward. Just like this book here, it's broken down to 3 sections, which is expectation, operation, and destination. We decided to make 3 chapters, which is unconventional for a kid's book.
Great.
They're called Expectation, Operation, Destination. And I want to say shout out to Drake too as well, because he wrote a beautiful testimonial for this as well on the cover of that. The book deals with emphasizing the importance of family, the family structure rather, the importance of mentorship, as well as influential elementary school teachers. As just teachers are, because, you know, you guys went to school with Mr. Ford, who on the 3rd chapter, there was a beautiful quote from him.
Love it.
Right. And it just shows, it just reinforces the impact teachers have made on lives, man. And I think as we go forth and forward, going back to school right now for these kids, I think it's important that not only for them, but for teachers as well to be encouraged. So I hope that the project says something, you know?
Absolutely. I'm going to read the A.E. Ford, Arnold Ford quote here. It says, "Keep on keeping on. With enthusiasm, innovation, nerve, tenacity, and optimism, tremendous odds can be overcome. Believe in yourself. Believe in the dream."
I mean, it took a lot of innovation and tenacity to make this come through in these times, but it was an honor, pleasure to work with Rhodora. If Rhodora wasn't a part of this, it wouldn't have been the same book.
Yes.
You know, so it was I'm glad we had a chance to work together. It's so funny. I'm trying to pull my copy out, but I ran into a teacher like a couple of days ago, and my book that's normally in my backpack, she got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
But it's good. The book's well received, man. The book is well received.
I have to say, I almost cried reading this. Like I read it on so many different levels in terms of, like you said, like the impact of a family, a father, and those words, the impact on your heritage and celebrating that and living that, letting that have expression. And then also like that Toronto feel. There's a Toronto vibe to the book, right? I'm born in Toronto, raised in Mississauga, and I feel like if you'll feel that in the book. You know, so it's legit.
You know what it is, Martin? We really wanted to emphasize for children to be proud of who they are, be proud of, you know, where their families came from, be proud of their own history. And I think that's really important. And that's why this has got, you know, a lot of very good reception from the school boards, is because of the fact that that's what we're trying to emphasize, is the importance of being proud of who you are. So there's even a page here, I'm just going to show it because these illustrations are off the hook. Like really, Leon had done such a great job. I wish he was here so we can give him his props, but really, like, look at that one. Like that's, you know, Wes and his dad.
Yes.
And there's, you know, the flag of Guyana, but there's the, you know, be proud of who you are. And I think that's a universal message to children these days, is that, you know, not everyone's 100%. We've said that in so many different capacities throughout the last, I would say, year and a half. And what we really have is each other. And, you know, you come back down to family and friends and what's important. And like Wes had mentioned, what he brought to our school that day was so magical and so inspirational that that's what we have really tried to capture in this book.
Trying to bottle that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And you know what? Every kid in that gym was like, it felt like it was 1989, Martin. If you were there, you would have been like, what is happening here? Especially if Phil was there. But like, really, at the end of the story, everyone, Phil is Martin's younger brother.
Yeah. He's in the chat usually a lot. So yeah.
At the end of the day, like, the kids just had such a great reception to his presentation. It's because they learned about him for about 3 weeks, right? So we embedded it as teachers and educators into the curriculum. And once that's done, that changes the curriculum. And that's really what this book does, is that it's a piece of not only Toronto history, but I would argue Canadian history. Like there's no other book out there that's like this. And it is really inspiring.
Fantastic.
I would say there's no need to argue, because it is Canadian history right there. You know, this is a part. It's based on the true story. You know, everything there in the book is based on a true story. The things that happened. We shout out to Josie G, 1985 from St. Angela, who's one of the teachers that I met at St. Angela's as well. And I've been blessed to have some real cool, influential, encouraging elementary school teachers. Like the Mr. Wilson character in the book, that was my teacher, grade 2 and grade 3. And he was like, yo, man, keep writing. You know, and then the Miss Santos character, that character is based on like my 4th grade teacher, Miss Toner, who was the one who encouraged me to do public speaking, right? My 5th grade teacher, who was Stern, Miss D'Souza, and my 6th grade teacher, who was Miss Hickey, who we did creative writing with, right? So basically my 4th grade teacher and my 6th grade teacher, I put those two together, where I learned to be able to speak in front of people while being nervous, and be creative, writing either poetry or writing songs, and I put all that together, into who I am today as an artist.
Wes, so my question for you, that on the creative piece, how much of that is creativity and how much of that is courage? Because like you put like there's a creative piece, but then you're almost afraid to put it out there, and then at some point you cross over that line into just being courageous enough to just put anything on paper or to put anything out there. Where is that balance for you?
Okay, the catalyst of that is hip hop. Hip hop gave me that testicular fortitude to go out there and just catch wreck. You know, it's like my teachers were really influential. Then my man DJ Greg, if you see that second picture there,
that's Greg Nelson.
That's my homie Greg Nathaniel right there. That was my first. I know Greg since I was 5 and he was 8. He lived in the other building across from me. Yeah, man. That's DJ Greg right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my very first DJ, but that's like my big brother. So through performing and through having that you know, when you're young, you're innocent and you don't have that many reservations, so you try things. And I tried. And I wasn't the greatest at first, but I stuck with it because I saw a little potential, and I continued getting better, and I just loved it. I continued getting better. It was infectious, and that's where it came from. So for me, a lot of it came from hip hop, loving the music, loving the culture, loving just the energy that it came with, you know.
Yes.
From that, you know, take it to the next level.
Yes.
And every level you get to, there's more, you know, like I said, expectation, operation, and destination. Those are like universal laws, man, because you have to have a high expectation of yourself, regardless if you're doing Pilates or if you're doing music, school, for, you know, you have to have a high expectation. Your teachers have a high expectation for you.
Yes.
Your parents do, you know what I mean? But you have to have that high expectation. You have to have that for yourself as well. And then the operation, all that is, my brother, is just putting in that work. Because we've all fallen. You have the courage to get back up, fall, knowing you're going to fall down again, but get back up again and to reach that destination, right? And the beauty of it is once you reach a destination, there are more expectations for you, right? This is an upward spiral where it's like when one thing is accomplished, you know, all I would say is through life, I wish I took more time to, like, if there was a fourth principle, meaning the first three would be expectation, operation, and destination. The fourth would be celebration, man. And that's one thing I really,
well said,
really got to appreciate during these times, these COVID times, because I would just accomplish something and be like, yeah, okay, we did it. Okay, we're on to the next. As opposed to just taking a minute, man.
Just
sit
into it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like, I don't know, that's kind of like one of the things I've worked on. And COVID definitely helped me with that, like in terms of just taking it for a second. That, like, I mean, hold that book up for a second, man. Look how fresh that cover looks.
Absolutely.
Look at that, man. Like, that is dope, man. I know you got the LED light behind because I see the circle, man. It's just gleaming, the reflection. Like, look at that, you know? And Rhodora said, you know, if we're going to do something, go big or go home. We didn't do anything haphazard. Even this book was through a publishing company, Random House Publishing. I'm sure if I dissect between the 272 pages, there might be a couple mistakes in there because and I had an editor, whatever. That book right there,
flawless.
Tell me if you see any mistakes in that. You know what I'm saying? Tell me.
Well, this is, and on the celebration tip, that's the thing that I love, and that's really why I have you here. Is not to say like, hey, go buy this book. Yes, go buy the book, but let's celebrate the fact that you have a new creative outlet, a new audience, an amazing partnership, and all these things have come to fruition in this. Like, that is awesome. I love the partnership that you have there. And with Rhodora, there's something to be said, Wes, for like a technical partner too, right? Like, you have someone who is creative, and someone could look at, from an education perspective, how do we build into this? How do we leverage this and make sure that there's great teaching opportunities out of it, and all these different things. For my fitness space, it's the same thing. I could sit here with a million ideas on paper, but I need someone to come alongside me who can technically make it happen if that's not my skill set. So,
do you know what's awesome, Martin, is that in this, like, Wes is really my mentor, right? Because at the same time, both Wes and Leon have written books before. So I took a lot of leadership and mentorship from them. And one of the aspects of the book, and the most important piece, I think, is not only about family and teachers, it's really about mentorship and having that guy, even in your Pilates classes. Like, I'm sure that you have mentors along the way. You know, you're putting together your own studio. You're trying to figure out, you know, what equipment do I need? What is a must? What can I get away with? You know, and that mentorship piece, because one day those mentees become someone's mentor. So my idea in this was that, you know, not only are we writing a book, we're writing a creative piece, but it also has suggested lesson plans, right? So suggested, because every classroom in Ontario, and I would argue in Canada, is very different. So whoever's in front of you is who you're teaching to. And I think a lot of children at times, they're very impressionable, but at the same time, they have, like Wes said, like, there's a high expectation of them. So when somebody said to me, you know, well, Rhodora, there's 3 chapters in this book, I was like, you know what? Yeah, there's 3 chapters, but it doesn't mean you have to read it all at once. Like, you read it in three parts, you know, or you read it in 4 parts. You know, there's lesson plans, and they're suggested, like I said, they're ideas, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to do what's right for your class. So, you know, a lot of times that they say it's culturally responsive pedagogy, and they'll say to me, you know, and this is, again, other educators, they'll say there's no content in what we're reading. And, you know, some of the books that are in my classroom, and I just want to highlight some of them because one of my favorite ones is The Little Hummingbird. So I took a lot of inspiration from this book. So if you haven't read this book, The Little Hummingbird, I like to put them all together with Stick to Your Vision. I feel like it brings really great vibes and just a great energy. But The Little Hummingbird is basically an indigenous story that talks about how this bird just wants to do something good. And everyone else in the forest kind of gave up, but she just kept plugging away. So that's really what it was. We were in a pandemic. And instead of sitting back and saying, you know, what am I going to do? And sit here trying to figure out, I said, you know what, let's just do this project, because not only do we have the time, but we have the creative space. So, and a lot of times, you know, in times of adversity, great things can happen. So that was one piece. I know that you and I had talked, Martin, about chapter 1 and how heavy it is, right? So that was, you know, something that we kind of looked at and said, you know, kids need to hear that story. They need to hear that not everything was amazing and everything growing up, because sometimes kids need to hear that this is how we pick ourselves back up and this is how we move forward.
I'm going to add on to what you're saying, because you mentioned, Rhodora, mentors and mentees. In the first book, Chuck D is my mentor, and I got him to write the foreword for this book, right? Yeah. In the new one, Cardinal will let you know that I'm his mentor. You see how this whole thing works, right? And another thing too, we talked about the heaviness of chapter 1, which is called expectations. As a Black man, I could honestly say there's a lower expectation for us out there. You know what I'm saying? When people see us doing certain things, there's always a question. That's just the reality of it. There's like, you know, we're not expected to, you know, people see me with my son. It's like, you're a good father.
Yes. Oh, wow. You're babysitting today.
Is it because I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do? But because there's a subliminal lack of expectation. Yes. These are things that I know from the jump. So these are, sometimes it could be an elephant in the room, if you want to call it. Sometimes it could be through subliminal messages, but there's a low expectation for the Black man. That's word is bond. Understand? If I'm lying, I'm dying. Right. So that being said, I mean, KRS once said, if you don't know the history of the author, you don't know what you're reading. So that's why within this book, you're seeing like history, you're seeing things. So those kids who told the character, you can't play hockey because you're Black, they learned that from somewhere. Those aren't necessarily bad kids. They just learned that from somewhere else, from where they were taught. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So from there, that's when I first, and that's true right there. So that's when I realized that was the very first time somebody told me I can't do something. So even though I'm a grown man now, I still remember the very first time someone told me that I couldn't do something based on because I'm Black. You feel what I'm saying? And through life, you know, there's layers. We have layers as we grow older, and we see what people think of us, what people don't think of us through their body language, through what they say, through how they say what they say, what have you. And is that a crutch? Absolutely not, man. That's just something for us to know that, you know, we're descendants of greatness. And when we bring young men, young boys, young girls up, they got to know that they're here to do great things. You know what I'm saying? So that's all we can do right now in this project here that Rhodora and I put together with Leon, who's a father of 5 beautiful kids. You know what I'm saying? Collectively, we got a football team, you know, all of us, right? And I just feel that we have to, this is a very critical time. So we definitely need critical thinking. And these kids need guidance, you know. They have more distractions now than ever. So the hardest thing for us to do, what we have to do is be more attentive as parents, because this ain't like how we came up. They're bombarded with technology. We spoke about the first
so many messages.
We spoke about the first quote in chapter 3 with Mr. Ford, rest in peace. Chapter 2, the quote is talking about every kid needs a champion, because every child does need a champion. But chapter 1, the quote was, effective efforts have been made to control our stories. So if you can control somebody's story, you can control how they think. And if you can control how they think about themselves. And that's something that could impede them as they go through their formative years into their adult years. So that's why we set a high expectation for yourself. Definitely. You know, that's going to be the launching pad for you to work and go through things and know that it's okay to fail, man. It's just get back up.
Well, yes. You know, if I could just jump in at that point, like high expectations is great. And I'd like to balance that message up with, how do you recommend people manage failure? Adult or child? Like what's your words to navigate that moment of failure?
it's not a child's fault, man. They got to have their parents around them too. You know what I'm saying? Because as adults, especially now, we all, listen, man, no one's 100% okay due to this global apocalypse, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's 100% okay. So we've all been impacted one way or the other.
Somewhere there, yes.
So you can only imagine what kids are going through. So I think it's important for them to be around good people, you know, important to let them know that you love them, you know? That's the start right there. Let them know it's important. If you fail, I still got you.
Yes.
You know, no matter what. So that's the thing right there. It's not about the kids. It's about us as parents, man, being like, how can we love these kids and be around them during these times, especially when we're going through, you know, we got a couple of screws loose, all of us right now, man. Right?
Yeah.
I keep the buck with you, you know, like, so
I think too, Martin, going back to what Mr. Ford used to say to us all the time, if you find something that you love to do, you're never going to really feel like you're working, right? So I remember going to him and saying, you know, Mr. Ford, I'm thinking of going into law school. And he said, well, where's your real passion? Like, what do you really want to do? And I said, I really want to be a teacher. So he's like, so then go for it. Like, you know, and I don't know if he ever, you know, made the phone call to my parents or whatever, because I mean, you know, coming from a Filipino background, like they just wanted, you know, engineer, lawyer, doctor, like all these high expectations that I don't even want to be a nurse, right? Like I applied to it only because just to make them happy at one point. So you always have to take control of your own championing. And that's really what it is that this generation now, we can say to them, you know what? You love what you're doing, go for it. These are your dreams, like, you know, champion those dreams, but also in that failure, it's okay to fail. Cause I look at it as, you know, it's part of the journey. Like, I don't think I was ever good at certain things, but it's not like I turned it around and said, you know, I'm going to give up. Right. So you have to really find a way to kind of pick yourself back up. And that's going to be the people around you, your friends, your family, and your true friends. I would say that to kids, especially, I taught grade 8 for a very long time, like 7 or 8 years. I remember saying to my grade 8s, like, if you can bring home your friends and be very proud of who they are, like, what do they stand for? What are their goals in life? Right. Like,
exactly.
Those are the types of friends you want to surround yourself with, people that are going to champion you.
Reading Joel's comment here, JC Vitality Method said, it is so important that we let kids know that you love them. It is a time of fear for a lot of young people. And if I could circle back to Wes's comment about adding on celebration, gratitude with my kids, when it comes to those issues of fear and things like that, I always try and bring them back to a moment that we celebrated. That's a checkpoint for you to say, okay, remember last time we were here, you did this. So they could reference a point that they got through a point of fear to the other side. So they have this stockpile of successes when they press through, because we spent so much time celebrating those moments, so that they have confidence for the next time, because it's not just like, I'm just going to push through. It's like, last time I pushed through, I made it to here and we celebrated that. So let's look back at the last checkpoint that we had. How do we get through that? And that's how we get through this next one.
I'm proud to say that, like, my son, I put him in Taekwondo when he was 4 years old. And by the time he was 9, he was a black belt. And there was times along the way when he wanted to quit. And I'm like, nah, man, you can do it, man. You can do it. And I wanted him to learn from a young age the importance of, you know, repetition.
Yes.
Which will help your preparation. You know, and that's symbolic of if you're studying for your exam. I mean, if you're studying for your exam, if you're studying your Pilates, if you're studying whatever, piano playing, whatever, repetition will help your preparation. So he could look back and be like, yo, I remember when I wanted to quit, but once he got a black belt, he quit. Don't get it twisted. But the point was, I think it was important as a father for him to be like, to stick with it, man. Stick with it. So you have that reference point. You know, when you're learning your patterns, he doesn't mind kicking you, like punches and stuff like that. But the patterns, oh my goodness, that was like, for him to memorize those patterns was just hard, man.
Yeah.
Every layer, everything he got to next level, he celebrated, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So. Okay, so real talk. We were talking about the book and the highs and lows and challenges and stuff like that. People see polished, wonderful, beautiful graphics like this and think, okay, I'm going to do this next. What were some of the challenges, some of the hiccups that you saw along the way in making this happen?
So, Martin, we thought that we were like all stars, right? Like, we wrote the book. I think we're editing right up until the end. We put together a beautiful team. One of them's actually here, Valentina. She's part of our copy editing team. But what we had not really realized was that the illustrations was going to probably take us the longest. And so, Wes, I don't know if you want to address that because he's not on here, but we kind of approached Leon thinking that, okay, we can probably get this book out by a certain date by Christmas time, you know, wrapped under a tree and everything. And then we were, we really got the
Peter Jackson.
411 of that.
So what happened is, listen, man, this was the only book I had, man. You know, I never wrote another book before, so I figured, boy, man, this guy will whip this up quick.
Yes.
He said, listen, man, if you want me to draw a stick, man, I can get this done today. That's the case. But if you want me to like go into detail and have different facial expressions, have his dad look like he could actually be his dad. I have a sister character looks like she could actually be a sister, the mom resembling, different facial expressions, a friend who looks like he could be your friend, a teacher, classroom, background, all that stuff is going to take me a minute to do. And that's something that was humbling, but I learned it. But look at that, man, you know?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, man.
So he did such a great job with that, man, that it's like, that's something we didn't know. And then that would take so long. And then on top of it, to make it, to add more salt to the wound, you know, Rhodora thought she was like an editor, like, you know what I mean? Like, she thought like, man, I could do this. I could do this. Man, we don't need this. We don't need that. All of a sudden, like, man, listen, it took a little longer just to get like something like that. We had to get the right shade of blue, right? We had to make sure the text, everything was in place, right? Sometimes some certain edits we had, the text was going across people's faces and stuff, like, but not intentionally, you know? Then we had to take certain words out to make sure that everything was coinciding, moving cohesively. Man.
So for us, Martin, once this back part here was done, like we had, like there's the ISBN. That for me was like a big goal. I was like, once we get that, like we're good to go.
You're officially,
sell it there, right?
Right.
But even like the testimonial page, like this page here, the back of the book, you know, the cover, like kids will always judge the book by the cover. They say they won't, but they really do. So my teaching partners were always all about like, who's going to pick up the book against all these other books? Are they going to pick this back up if they see it? And I said, yeah, well, that's why we're going to make it the shiniest book on the shelf. We're going to make it like, like it's going to just scream out, please read me. Right. So that was really what my goal was to make it be the best book, because I don't want it to look self-published, and no offense to what self-published kind of looks like. But when you expect, you know, when you say, well, I wrote my first book and it's self-published, people are expecting something that they just copied or whatever they can download. No, like this book is the real deal. Right?
Yeah, this is
the real deal.
Yes.
I'm very proud of it. That's one of the highlights of my multimedia career, man, working on this project.
Absolutely.
Right there, man, you know.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
It is beautiful. Just reading some of the comments here. The hard work shows, Forever Bled says, and love the story and illustrations are incredible. Beautiful work. See, brilliant. All the kids I've shared it with love this book. Yeah. It's a true North Tuesday officially, Nickel Entertainment. But you know, and that's the thing. I wanted to highlight some of the challenges you saw too, because like when you talk about sticking to your vision, like who is your Joseph, these mentoring things, it's all roses until you get into it, and then you see your first hurdle, and then you have to decide if it's really worth it or not.
It was definitely worth it, man. It was definitely worth working with Leon and Rhodora here. We just learned a lot about ourselves. You know, one thing Leon did, I know he's not here to speak for himself, but like it was around Christmas time when he got all the illustrations close to done. And, you know, these ain't the easiest times for nobody, but I'll tell you, and Rhodora will agree, every time he said he sent something, it was like a gift. It was like a present, man. It was like on the 12th day of Christmas, he drew an illustration of, we just, okay, how is he going to make Mr. Wilson? How's Mr. Wilson character going to look? How's he going to make my mom look? How's she going to look? Like, we're all excited about how he put stuff together, and he did everything in chronological order, which I didn't think he was going to do. But Leon's about order, man, and it was just dope. Every illustration was like a gift to us, and the story just became more alive, you know. So
Absolutely.
it was a
Can
great
you
process.
talk, Wes? Can you talk about the Bobby Orr story?
Yeah. So when I was in grade 1 at Shaughnessy Public School, the teacher asked us, this is real talk, the teacher asked us to draw a picture of what you want to do when you grow up. People drawing pictures of astronauts, you know, whatever. I said, let me draw a picture of Bobby Orr, man. But I got my black Crayola, gave him an afro. Got my brown Crayola, gave him a little, you know, made him a little melanated.
Melanin. Yes.
And it didn't go over too well in the class because I was the only black kid in my grade 1 class. And it didn't go over too well. And yeah, like I said, that's the first time someone told me I couldn't do something. But years later, the Pan Am Games that had, you know, this book right here, chapter 1 is called Black Men Can't Skate.
Yes.
You know, the movie White Men Can't Jump. So I thought it'd be funny to make the chapter 1 Black Man Can't Skate based on what happened to me in grade 1. So I remember during the Pan Am Games, I was with Ty Domi. It was supposed to be me, Ty Domi, Pinball Clemens, and Bobby Orr. And I brought my book because I wanted to give Bobby Orr this to show him that, you know, when I grew up, I was watching him, you know, so I signed the book, whatever. I remember showing Ty Domi. I go, chapter 1's called Black Man Can't Skate. He started laughing, and he bought the copy of the book right on the spot. Shout out to Ty Domi. So, but I wanted to be Bobby Orr, you know, and I had it in a bag, everything wrapped up, everything for him. But he was too busy at the time. Because, you know, he's like an all-star, man. You know, like he's going there, Pan Am Games.
Yes.
But 2 months later, the concierge called me in my building and said, yo, I got a gift for you, man. So I said, he has something for me. Came down, it was a gift from Bobby Orr. It was Bobby Orr's book. And said, yo, Maestro, I met you. I didn't get a chance to meet you, rather, but I got your book. It's dope. Well, he didn't say it was dope, but anyway, here's a copy of my book signed by Bobby Orr. Like, how cool is that? So Bobby Orr.
That's so cool.
So, and it just goes to show life, you know, the evolution of a young man, you know, growing up in Toronto and having obstacles and what have you. And what a cool icing on the cake was to get that autograph from Bobby Orr, man. You know, we got to give him this book, Rhodora. You know, we got to give Bobby Orr this one.
Yeah, we do. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? The hockey, I mean, Martin, you're a hockey parent as well, you know, right? I mean, the challenges and the, you know, the things that the kids go through with any kind of sport. We have, you know, some of our friends here from soccer and baseball. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we do as sports parents, is that it's part of life. Like, the adversity, the things that they go through, they're all life lessons. They're hopefully going to get them, you know, the careers that they want in one day, or the goals that they're setting for themselves. Like, they might not all end up in the NHL, but they might end up inspiring other kids to do something. So that is a gift.
Yes. And the Crate Boy. I opened with the Crate Boy because it just jumped off the page. Like, if you're gonna be on the main stage, you got to be a Crate Boy first, man.
Well, it was more of the metaphor. It was more of I was never real life called a Crate Boy. I never, you know, my thing was just but it was important to show apprenticeship. It was important to show evolution. That he wasn't that nice at first just to get on the mic. So what could I create to keep it hip hop and to show apprenticeship, you know, to show like, you know, the operation section, because that's all in chapter 2, right?
Yes.
And I thought, how cool is it that he's Crate Boy? You know what I mean? And like, you're not quite MC Fresh Wes yet.
No.
You're good, but not good enough yet.
Not good enough yet. You know?
Not good
Keywords
enough
yet.
Yeah.
So I think Rhodora stressed that yet when we were writing. She was, make sure you put yet.
But, that's a growth mindset piece, right? Like,
yes.
You know.
Absolutely.
And I also want to add something. We mentioned earlier about the expectation of the black man, you know what I'm saying, or lack of expectation of the black man. I think we should talk about the perception of the black woman. And I think this is something that was very sensitive to, or the black girl. Because when I wrote the book, you know, I didn't really emphasize at first young Wes's 2 adversaries. One was Hakeem the Dream, but he was an initial character. It was just, I didn't give them characters' names. They were just older kids who were thinking they're going to win, right? But then the more I put stuff together, how cool would it be to actually give these characters names, man, and personalities. So the Julia character, she was just Julia. I don't think she was Julia the Great at the time. but one of the adjectives I used to describe her was she has an attitude, you know, and I think that's the only time Rhodora put on the boxing gloves with me during the process, because I go, attitude, what's wrong with that? And she was humming and hawing, but she was like, listen, man, you know, as a teacher, I've had to defend a lot of these young Black girls because the perception of Black women, young Black girls who have attitude or who are assertive, she said, that the word attitude is used in the wrong context altogether.
Yes.
Because the expectation of the Black girl is in a certain realm too. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I explained to Rhodora, I go, listen, if one of your female students said to you, Miss Vanderpool, could I talk to you for a minute? You know, last year when I didn't win that basketball game, I'm gonna kick their ass this time. She would be like, yeah, you go do it. Or, you see that boy? I'm going to play one-on-one basketball. He beat me last time, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to kick his butt this time. I'm sure Rhodora would be like, yeah, go. Let me see you do it, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't say she had that. Yeah, she has attitude, and you'd encourage that, right?
Yes.
So Rhodora was like, Wes, you know what? Maybe we keep it. You're right, and I'm wrong. I go, it's not about being right or wrong. It's the perception. And if the main story is about this young boy who's overcoming obstacles, let's keep it that way. Like, I'm not going to use a couple of things for somebody to pull a card on me over something that doesn't matter. So she's overconfident. She's confident. She's great. And I made it. She's not
fierce. She's been successful.
Yeah. She's Julia the Great.
That's right.
Because she exemplifies greatness. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, that was very important to and that's why it's like me as a author, I could write something, but Rhodora as an education expert who's been teaching for over 20 years, this is when the fine tuning comes in here. Coming in just to massage everything. So when the message goes through, it's palatable for everybody and real for everybody. It wasn't my idea to have Wes having a notebook, a gift from his parents. That was Rhodora's idea. Like, give him a notebook where it's his parents instilling this from, you know, in real time. My mom used to bring home paper for me to write and draw pictures. But Rhodora was saying, how about if it was a notebook? Because that notebook could be used for school as well. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there was a couple of things that were good that she really added on based on.
That's high level stuff, man. That's high level.
Listen, you gotta remember too. It's one thing if there's a mistake or two in this book right here, which is Random House Publishing, right? But when you self-publish and there's a low expectation for you, and you see a comma in the wrong place
for it.
or whatever like that, then it's like, yo, bro, stick to rapping, okay? Just stick to rapping, you know? Or your teacher, what type of teacher is this who didn't see this grammar? You feel what I'm saying? So we made sure, me and Rhodora call it laser mode. You don't want to see me and Rhodora in laser mode. That's a whole different animal altogether. Because when we put these on like this, fam, it's not even these glasses. I put my Fred Sanford glasses on. A laser mode on everything, brethren. Every single thing. And that's what I'm saying. If there's any mistakes in that book right there, let us know. Because I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see, because I know how we're perceived. I know there's a lack of expectation, or based on history. It's not anyone else's fault per se, but me, I'm trying to lead by example, be the best version I can. And so when I leave this earth, man, people look back, be like, yo, that dude was dope. And this is one of the milestones that I came up with, which is stick to your vision, young maestro goes to school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is legacy work, man.
It's legacy work. That's why I couldn't do it without Leon or Rhodora. We're like a three-headed monster, man, because what Leon brought to the table right there was something like, look at that, man. Yeah. That's real right there. Like, when he got on board, he was just like, the reason why I want to do this project, Wes, he said, one, I love you, real talk. But two, I am young maestro. That's what he said. I am young maestro. Yeah. And he look at that, B. Look at that, B. You know, we didn't know what that's the split, the spread page. Yes. We didn't know what he was coming with. Me, just Rhodora, just getting excited, like he's going to do it. How's he going to do it? And you know, that was economic. It was smart. And look at just something simple like the text on that page. That we had to make sure that it fit right. We had to make sure that the shade of the towers behind didn't clash with the text. So we had to make sure Leon looked like lightened certain parts of it, so to make sure that when you're reading it, it's not going to be like a big blotch between the writing and the background scene of the towers. So we were very meticulous with every little detail like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the shades, because grays have the different shades of gray. You feel me?
Yes. Yes.
So, and shout out to Brad and Leslie of Promo Pros. They actually helped us. They're part of our baseball family, Martin.
Okay.
And when we were looking to find a publisher or person to print this stuff, I was like, you know what? We have this family on our baseball team that does everything and at a high level. So they
did an amazing job, man.
Yeah, they're awesome. Awesome. So if ever anyone wants to self-publish, like, we pretty much know what to do, which is pretty fun. But you know,
what I like what Brad did, if I could add on, Rhodora, was he said, listen, at this point, have fun doing your book. He said, like, don't set a quick date. Don't have somebody over you, breathing on your back, trying to get. So that's one thing that Leon was happy with me. He's like, Wes, I really appreciated that you weren't on my back, calling me every minute with the work, you know. And that's one thing that Brad really said, where it's like, just give us time to be creative.
Yes.
And look what it came out of right there, you know.
Brad was behind the marketing of the signing those little cards, those authentication cards with the envelope that it came with. That's the stuff Brad really together.
Yes. Got all the swag here, man. Like this.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Thank you. Thank you for
went really fast. So thanks for
No, and you know, this space, this core conversations is to hear the man behind the brand, the woman behind the brand. I mean, it's one thing to pick the book off the shelf. It's another thing to hear your story, Wes, to hear your story, Rhodora, and hear the struggles with it, to hear the challenges with it, to celebrate where it's at. And man, I'm glad that people got to see and celebrate the work you're doing. And I hope that it inspires people to do whatever they put their hands to. Like, they don't have to be a rapper, they don't have to write a book, they don't have to be a teacher, but whatever you're putting your hands to, put that much effort into it.
Let me tell you
that
something.
much time with it, you know?
Thank you. And because of that book, I was able to, I'm in St. John, New Brunswick right now, but because of that book, I was able to, the mayor of St. John bought 50 copies.
Yes.
He took me to a school, an elementary school, and we gave those 50 copies out to grade 4 students, man. How cool is that? Like, that's opening up a whole different world for me, where, you know, I might be known as the rapper, dapper, snapper guy in our generation, but the young kids see me in a whole different perspective altogether, man. And
they're gonna be like, yo, do you know that Wes raps too?
So fam, watch this. I was at Tim Hortons the other day. I seen this little kid waving at me with his mom. I'm like, okay, maybe you like my hoodie or something. I look cool. Then his mom's like, oh, Maestro, how you doing? Then she said, basically, you just did a presentation at the community center where you read the book, your kid's book, and you gave him a copy. So his kid's name was Ethan. And so here's like 2 different generations. Ethan didn't know me as a rap artist. His mom didn't know me as an author, a kid's book, right? Yeah. But then while they were sitting down, some dude walked by and said, yo, I love watching you on Mr. D, that TV show, man. I'm a big fan of it. So you got like different generations looking at me. And it made me really think, it's like I must have done something right, where it's like, you know, hip hop was a catalyst, like I said earlier in my introduction, but for other different things, man. So everything you do, just try, you know, like Rhodora said, every day is an interview, man. Everything you do, you want to shine, man. You want to shine with it, because you never know what's going on.
And Martin, the props that we get from our kids, like, seriously, like, I'm in a hip hop magazine. But even better, the East Coast has given us so much love. This is the Edit magazine here. It's like James Mulliger, Wes.
Yeah, dope.
Here we were named Children's Book of the Summer. So right there's an article about Young Maestro Goes to School. Like, so self-published books can do a lot, right? So I mean, that's kind of cool that people have been noticing it and embracing the story and really getting it out to the kids. That's really the main thing. It's got to get in the kids' hands, and they've got to hear the story. Once they hear the story, it's all good.
So watch this. When I did the presentation at the community center here, you know, we had question and answer after. The kids were like, okay, so when you do a next book, can young Maestro play soccer? No, basketball. No, soccer. No, basketball. No, hockey. No. And just to watch, I'm like, the wheels are turning, where it's like just watching
Right?
these young minds, and they're so engaged in this process right here. And
Yes.
to think about it, like this came during one of the most devastating times in history. During this time right here, we decided to, instead of imploding spiritually,
Yes.
came up with something. The three of us, man, came up with something that to make a difference in people's
Yes.
lives, man. You know. So yo, I'm in the studio right. Listen, I'm in the studio right now. I'm in the studio right now because he's gonna have his own music. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Young Maestro's gonna have his own music coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like some cool joints.
And you know what, Martin, you talk about who's your Joseph. On top of all that, so mentorship and all that aside, I think our families really backed us on this, and our friends. So like my teaching partners and my St. Angela family, the book, that's who the book's dedicated to, right? Like our families and our friends that kind of said, you know what, we're going to support you on this. This is a great project, a great initiative, and a fantastic call to action, really is what it is.
It's been dope.
Love all that. Love all that. Man. Wes, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. It's been a blessing talking with you, man. I'm so excited for the book and just hearing the story behind it. You've made it come that much more alive for me.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, this is what we do. We inspire each other, man. You know?
Yeah. And Rhodora, I just know you're thorough, technical, solid, passionate, gifted. The list goes on, man. You're doing great work. So thank you so much for making this happen. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Martin. Likewise. Yes.
All right. Here's a comment just came through here from Tamara. Love Maestro. Let Your Backbone Slide has been on my cell phone ringtone for years now. Often don't answer my phone too because I want to listen to the song.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious, man. Well, I got a slogan, man. Like quickly, you know, like I say, don't make records, make history.
Yes.
Anybody can make a record, but by making history is when you do something and say something that people check for years and years later. So I spent so many years, Martin, sharpening the axe.
Yes.
You know, that now it's easy to chop down that tree. Like before I started writing this book, this book was written before it even started, man. Because I spent so much time. Okay, we're gonna have rewind, fast forward. We're gonna have anecdotes. We're gonna have expectation, operation, that. Like I spent so much time conceptualizing the outline before I even started doing the thing. And when I started doing it, it started going really quickly because I spent so much time sharpening the axe. So now this is like my 30+ year involved being a multimedia personality. That's over 3 decades of sharpening that axe. So think about it. We writing a kid's book. We started writing September 8th. It was done first draft September 27th.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying? And that was quick. I mean, trust me, we had like 100 drafts after, but the point was the outline of it and the main structure of it was done based on all the years of being it.
Because you lived it.
Yeah.
Like you've been writing this for 40+, 50+ years, right? Like this.
And here's the thing though, watch this. Making it that dope that kids are going to want to be, what's next? What's the next book going to be?
Yes.
What's the next thing going to be? As opposed to thank you, now beat it. Because like, no, it's like, what's next? So we spend time putting it together. People want to hear what's the next book going to be or the next song you're going to do or whatever, you know? So don't make records, make history, man, you know?
That's it. All right, we will end on that. That is such a good note. Thank you so much for your time, both of you guys. Much love, much blessings. Yes.
Okay, brother. Nice meeting you.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to all the people, all the comments. I really appreciate all of you showing up, cheering us on. And I'll put this book in the comment section. I'll put all the links there and you guys can grab that. All right, Rhodora, thank you so much. We sign off. Take care.